I'm continuing my ambitious plan to review the entire Heroes of Might Magic series, including all add-ons and most popular mods. Today we are moving on to the sequel, Heroes of Might Magic 2 The Succession Wars. Released in 1996, just 13 months after the original game, this sequel received a massive amount of work in some areas while being left almost completely untouched in others. I'm going to break down all of it. For those who don't know me, my name is Veter, and I am an indie game developer from Ukraine with a decade of experience, and in this video I'm diving deep into Heroes 2. I'm going to approach this review both as a player and from a developer's perspective. I will go in depth on the changes compared to Heroes 1, point out what I personally would have changed or improved, and share my overall impressions of the game. I have already published a video covering the first Heroes, so I highly recommend watching that one as well. My main concept for this series is to do an in-depth comparison of each game to its predecessor, to see what changed, what improved, and what mistakes the developer made. If you aren't familiar with the franchise at all, watching the first video will give you a great foundation, since I broke down the core mechanics there. In this video and the ones following it, the focus will be mostly on changes, because explaining in every single video every single time all core mechanics is gonna be too long. To create a proper, well-rounded overview, I set a few goals for my playthrough to get the absolute most of the experience. Complete the original campaign, or at least play until I lose all interest. Play through at least one of the Price of Loyalty DLC campaigns, take a close look at every single one of the game's faction, and finally try out the F-Heroes 2 mod to see if it's actually worth playing. After putting myself through all of that, I have broken this review down into over 10 different sections covering everything that has changed. But before we jump into the breakdown, there is some basic information if you are interested in playing the game yourself. There are a few ways to get your hands on Heroes 2, a digital version on GOG, Ubisoft or Game Pass, or by hunting down a physical disc. I personally tested only the GOG version, which give you both the MS-DOS version running via integrated DOSBox emulator alongside a raw Windows version of the game. The DOSBox version works perfectly without any issues. At least I don't remember anything that was worth mentioning, I guess. But one thing you need to do is to go to the DOSBox game root folder and tweak your resolution settings. By default, it runs at the original 640 to 480 resolution, which is going to look incredibly blurry, like you can see in the comparison. To fix this, open up the DOSBox HoMM2.conf file using Notepad or pretty much anything. Locate the line full resolution equal original and change it to full resolution equal desktop, or any specific number. You can edit other parameters to your liking as well, just make sure to create a backup file first in case you mess up something. With that said, I still highly recommend just playing with F-Heroes 2 mod, as it's simply definitive way to experience the game. I will covering that mod in the detail in the mod section and the very end of the video. To help out, I created a Google Doc in the description below containing a ton of useful information, links to community sites and store pages. Also, if I make any mistakes in this video, I will be sure to correct them in a pinned comment or the description below. Since this is one of my first video, I would love to hear your feedback in the comments. What would you like to hear more or less of in my future videos? Thanks in advance. Well, all that out of the way, let's get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about the graphics and UI. Starting with the world map. Many of the assets like trees, terrain and artifacts look quite similar in style, or just one-in-one style, but majority of the heroes are same, but their portraits have been redrawn. The biggest change is that they added shadows to the world map. This adds a lot of depth and makes the world look more realistic and lovely. Honestly, at the start I didn't even realize this myself, but in comparison to Heroes 1, it has so much more volume. In the first game it felt flat, like simple 2D images. Your faction overview now provides a lot more information. In Heroes 1 just showed the number of your castles, mines and resources. In Heroes 2 it's full-fledged overview that gives you detailed info regarding your towns, your heroes and exactly how many creatures are left in every castle. You also can quickly jump to castle, which is extremely helpful. Also apparently you can quick buy from this screen, which I just learned while making this video. That could save me a lot time and nerves in my 35 hours of playtime if I knew this in advance. The interface now has two different styles depending on which faction you play. The good faction have one variation and the evil faction have another, or you can choose whatever you want in options. It's not a massive change, but it's still an interesting design choice. The hero UI is almost identical between Heroes 1 and 2, except it now includes skills and formations for each hero, but more on those later. All four previous factions return: Knight, Barbarian, Sorceress and Warlock, but all units and their stats remain same, 1-in-1. Only difference is that they are completely redesigned. They have moved away from cartoony fairy style towards something a bit more realistic, which in my opinion was a good choice overall. From a developer perspective, the general game design has become more serious, which I think goes better with Might and Magic theme that was a main selling game back then for the studio. They keep the gameplay almost identical to the first installation, but still made it feel completely fresh and more realistic. So it's a great choice overall for returning players and new players. Now moving on to the campaign, and this is huge improvement. It went from being basically non-existent to a full-fledged experience. In Heroes 1 there wasn't really a storyline, you just got a single text box at the start of each mission. There was some lore in the manual, but that was it. Now we have a real story with cutscenes, voice lines, plot and actual mission choices. Since there is actual plot now, it makes sense to talk about the Heroes of Might and Magic story. Starting with Heroes 1, because I omitted that in my first video, so I'm gonna talk briefly about this right now. That game told the story of Lord Morglin Iron Fist, who was forced to flee his homeland, Varn IV, through the magical portal. And for those who don't know, Varn stands for Vehicular Astropod Research Nacelle. Those are large slab-like bodies created by Ancients, a technologically advanced race that is central to the Might and Magic series, for the purpose of experimentation. They are thought to have been present from the very beginning of time, using the technology of elemental manipulation to create completely viable ecological and social microcosms through experimentation, and in doing so they created Varn, Kron, Terra, Xeen, Enroth and Axioth. They appear to be capable of directly influencing those worlds. I'm gonna stop here because this is gonna go extremely complicated, like with quantum physics, quantum mechanics. I'm gonna say that that's just everything beyond Heroes of Might and Magic. The only thing you should know, all this have nothing to do with Heroes of Might and Magic whatsoever. Not with first one, not with second one, not with third one. I didn't go super deep in this, but I'm pretty sure there is absolutely nothing really correlating. There is absolutely zero information that's gonna give you something relevant to discuss, so I'm gonna skip this to actual Heroes 2 plot. Iron Fist fled through the portal because his cousin Ragnar usurped the throne after Ragnar's father killed Iron Fist's father, the legitimate king. Iron Fist found himself in strange uncharted land called Enroth, and in canon ending, Iron Fist defeats 3 other warlords in Enroth world and founds the kingdom of Enroth. So to Heroes 2, and Heroes 2 starts after 25 years of peace. Morglin Iron Fist has died of old age, leaving 2 heirs to the throne. And I just gonna give you a cutscene from this because it's gonna explain everything better and in detail than I can explain. So here's the cutscene.
The troubles all began 3 years ago with the passing of the old king, Lord Iron Fist. The king left 2 sons. Roland was good, kindly and honourable, while Archibald was not so good. Traditionally, the choice of the heir falls to the royal seer, but he died in a tragic boating accident. His successor's luck was no better, with Frederick falling out of a window, Robert slain by a dragon, and Johann dying of food poisoning. Archibald accused Roland of murdering the seers and issued a proclamation against Roland. Fearing for his life, Roland fled the place by his castle in the west. With Roland gone, Archibald was able to influence the new royal seer's decision. The seer chose Archibald, and Archibald crowned himself king the next day. And so the war for succession began. Choose your lord.
To start the campaign, you have to choose who to play as. It's basically a choice between good and evil, as the 6 factions are now divided by 3 evil, 3 good. For each mission, you get 3 choices for starting bonus. They aren't always significant, but it's a good addition for a player's freedom. You can also choose which mission to play to some extent. Completing certain non-mandatory or even mandatory missions gives you permanent bonuses for the rest of the campaign. For example, completing mission 3 gives you the Dwarf Alliance buff, meaning all dwarves on all future maps will join your forces instantly without a fighting. This is incredibly powerful. One thing that surprised me was the turning point after mission 4. You actually have the possibility to switch sides.
General, this is King Archibald speaking. Your exploits in the field have impressed me, and I've decided to offer you one chance to join me and receive a proper reward. I can offer riches and power that my brother can only dream of. Wealth and power against the certainty of the hangman's noose when I inevitably crush my brother's feeble forces. Well, what do you say?
Basically, you're just betraying your lord to switching to the other one and continuing after that as normal opposite campaign. So it's very cool addition. I pretty much was very surprised and positively surprised. And anything that can surprise a player positively, it's always a win in my eyes. In many perspectives, this is the biggest improvement in the entire game compared to Heroes 1. Having storyline, mission choices, permanent bonuses gives you like a motivation to keep playing, making the game way more interesting. I was genuinely intrigued to see what would happen next in the story and how it's gonna get concluded. This was definitely the right direction in series to take. And few words I'm gonna say from me about CGI, those cutscenes. It's first time, I'm pretty sure, in Heroes 1 there was never used any 3D models in the entire game whatsoever. In Heroes 2 we see in cutscenes they start creating 3D models, entire 3D cutscenes, which looks kinda cool. Yeah, let's be honest, this was more than 25 years ago, and it looks right now kinda cheap and boring, but overall it looks pretty good. The most important thing, they are conveying the story, understanding what's happening, and it's pretty much the most important part. And all other cutscenes that we are getting from next each mission, it's basically one scene with a little bit of movement, and that's it. That's not really a cutscenes. There is basically animated backgrounds. So a little bit that maybe a bit disappointing. I wanted more cool cutscenes, but it's still good. Campaign overall has a lot of problems, but I'm gonna talk about them in problem sections. Next, let's look at the world map. It was also redesigned, though a bit less than other aspects of the game. There are now 10 types of terrain compared to 7 we have in Heroes 1, with their information. While many assets are reused, there are also plenty of new ones. All the mines and structures have been resprited, and the new ones have been added with brand new features. All those structures giving more depth to the game, and it's quite nice. One great quality of life feature is that they added text showing what you have already visited and what you haven't, which is definitely a must-have for the player. We also finally have the ability to skip easy fights with neutral units when they are way weaker than us. This is a very good addition and saves a lot of time. I'm very happy about this, insanely happy. You also kinda lose experience, because if you skip the fight you're not gonna get any experience, but saving time is like much more in priority than losing a little bit of experience. The size of the map can now be much smaller or larger than before. In Heroes 1, every map was standard 72 by 72 square grid. In Heroes 2, there are 4 different sizes, ranging from 1/4 of the area of the original map, 36 by 36 size, and up to 4 times the size, 144 to 144. On the other hand, the text for gazebo structure and many other structures is completely identical in both Heroes 1 and Heroes 2, which feels a bit lazy. I guess they just wanted save the time and copy the text, not to create new one, but really creating a little bit of text here and there. It's not that much of a work. I think it's a bit lazy, but not really the big one. I don't think really even many people gonna even notice this. I just noticed because I read everything there was in the game. The obelisks are also completely same. You just have new different cover image and that's it. It's completely works same. Mines can now be guarded using tier 4 guard unit spell, which is good addition. It prevents weak enemy heroes from easily capturing them, though a slightly more powerful hero can still take them over easily. Also, movement and pathfinding on the map can feel a bit bugged. I don't know what the problem is, it only on my PC or this is overall problem, but it's a little bit irritating, but you're quickly getting used to it. To wrap up this section, I feel they should have added more in-game information for structures, terrain and objects. Many of them are not properly explained or not really intuitively understandable, without looking them up on the internet somewhere or in the manual. Yes, now manual has way more information than it has previously, but still having more in-game information is still way better. Overall, though, I would say reusing assets is perfectly fine because they created the game in only 1 year and 2 months, and they really made a lot of changes in the game, a lot of improvements, an entire campaign, redesigned the entire game, improvements in every aspect. So I get that they reused a lot of previous assets to cut the time of development. I have nothing against this because map become much more pleasant to look at. It became way more beautiful than it was in Heroes 1. Even though 60-70% of the map is same, still with new shadows, resprited structures that looks more serious, more realistic. The entire world map looks much better, even though it's very similar one. Okay, now let's move on to the combat. The single best thing they added here is the grid. We can finally see the combat map clearly, knowing exactly where we are going and what our movement range is. And I'm so grateful for this because this was extremely painful, and with bigger grid it's even more mandatory. The combat map itself has gotten bigger, increased from a 7 wide to 5 height layout to an 11 to 9 grid. Along with this, units generally twice as fast. This is much better approach to the combat grid because it adds a lot more strategy and planning. In Heroes 1, the small grid made it really hard to maneuver your troops, because fast troops can go from one side to another instantly in one move, on first move, which was quite very annoying, and not really much strategy was there whatsoever. There is also a new calculation formula for attack and defense. While Heroes 1 used this formula, Heroes 2 now use this one. Well, basically there is no formula. It's each point of attack over defense gives an additional 10% extra damage, up to maximum of 3 times the damage, when your attack skill is higher by 30. On the other side, each point of defense over attack reduces damage taken by 5, down to a minimum of 30%, when your defense skill is higher by 14. Basically, the impact of the stat difference was nerfed a bit compared to first game, because multiplication is better than addition. And second one, maximum damage multiplier for attack in Heroes 1 was multiplied by 5. And to get to this you need 17 or higher attack over defense, which is much easier than 30 attack to get. And defense was up to 5 times less, to up to 20% of the damage, getting this 16 or higher defense over attack skill. Attack and defense you can get a little bit easier because there's much more artifacts and more powerful artifacts that gives more attack and defense, which is good, but still attack and defense was nerfed quite hard on the high end. I think this is overall good if they nerfed magic too, but about this a little bit later. We also have a new option for army formation in the hero menu, which gives you a possibility to spread your units out or keep them grouped together. Plus, you can now speed up combat in the option menu, which is amazing. You can fight much faster and not get annoyed very quickly as it was in Heroes 1. And all the combat animations have received a few more frames, I think about from 1 to 3 extra frames per action, which is good. Another great change was made to castle sieges. I was berating castle combat a lot in my Heroes 1 review, but they finally improved it to playable state. Now castle have a drawbridge, so your defending melee units can actually go through them. Your land units won't just get stuck inside the castle until the walls are destroyed, like that was in Heroes 1. Furthermore, castles can now have up to 3 towers and a mod that slows down units that touch it, if you upgrade your castle. All those towers are now destructible by the catapult. In Heroes 1 there was only one tower and it was indestructible, meaning it would shoot at you for the entire fight, how long it would take. There isn't too much more to say about combat. Every choice they made was a right one, and the system was simply improved across several aspects. While I think it could have been made even more complicated and in-depth overall, it is still moving in good direction, and I hope it's gonna get improved much more in future Heroes, of course. But still, it's pretty pleasant to play right now already at this point. There isn't much to say about magic, but let's start with the biggest change. Spells are now no longer limited to a set number of uses based on your knowledge stat. Instead, the game now uses the mana system. Every spell has mana cost, and your knowledge level now gives you 10 mana points per stat point. You can regain those spell points slowly over time at a rate of 1 per day, or instantly by starting your turn in a castle with a mage guild. Which I just learned again reading manual. I didn't know that I can regain instantly all mana starting from the castle on the next day. That's why there's need more information in-game to this. And also good that in Heroes 1 there was system that you can use just set number of each spell and then you're forgetting them and you need to learn them again. And with mana system you don't need to do all this insanity. You learn spells permanently, which is very good. Spells are go up to level 5 compared to level 4 in Heroes 1, while the majority of the original spells are same, the roster has almost doubled. In Heroes 1 there were 19 battle spells and 10 world spells. In Heroes 2 that expand to 48 battle spells and 17 world spells. Learning high level spells is now strictly tied to your wisdom secondary skills. About skills in the next section. Without it, your hero can only learn spells up to level 2. Another huge addition is the introduction of mass spells, which affect all of your units or all enemy units at once, like Mass Bless or Mass Slow. Furthermore, creatures can now be affected by more than one non-contradictory spell at the same time. For example, a single creature can be simultaneously under the effect of Curse, Slow and Protection. Which again, I didn't know this because in Heroes 1 there was not any information that then one creature can be affected by one spell. Again, I learned this by manual. you mandatory need to read them. This is a little bit infuriating for me right now that I'm learning so much information past all this. And I don't think this even was written in manual of Heroes 1. I don't think it was written anywhere or explained anywhere whatsoever. And overall, that's about it. I don't think we need to go into detail about every single spell and its uses. I will just say that the most infuriating spells like Armageddon, Storm, Berserk and the heavy damage or mind controlling tier 4 and 5 spells are now safely locked behind the wisdom skill, which you have to level up. This is a great change because it lowers the number of times you will get suicide spammed by low level enemy heroes that the AI just hired, which was a massive headache in Heroes 1. This is exactly the kind of balance adjustment I was hoping to see in sequel and I was talking about in Heroes 1. I would like to tell all this to you, but it's actually kinda lie, because it didn't change much. Yes, spells are hidden behind wisdom level, but half of the characters you can hire starting with basic wisdom level, so they can learn spells up to level 3. And sorcerers, heroes can have advanced level of wisdom, so they can learn spells up to tier 4 from level 1. And at this point, this is insanely already bad, because there's enormous amount of bad tier 4 spells that can kinda shit on your character a lot. And if they gonna get through several levels, which is gonna be very easy, especially there's a lot of gazebo and other little bit stuff that you can get levels from, you're gonna still have probably tier 5 spells units, and also you can just suicide spam and retreat, and you're gonna save your character. So this is very bad, still very bad. But I'm gonna talk more in details about all those problems in the problem section. Now we are slowly getting to the heroes. Overall, the heroes themselves haven't changed drastically. Aside from knowledge now granting mana, even the UI looks mostly same. However, they did introduce one of the biggest and most impactful additions in the entire game: secondary skills. Every time you level up, you are giving a choice between 2 random skills. Each faction heroes have their own specific probabilities of being offered certain skills. Here's the table. Some of those options actually duplicate the built-in abilities heroes has in the first game, like expert pathfinding for the barbarian, or advanced navigation for the sorceress, basic leadership for knight, and advanced scouting for warlock. A hero can hold up to 8 secondary skills out of 14 total in the game. Each skill can be upgraded up to level 3 or expert level if you choose it again on level up, making its effects much more powerful. As for artifacts, they are majorly the same in functionality, but there are now almost 3 times as many. In Heroes 1, there were only 38 artifacts. In Heroes 2, that number expands to 99 total, 82 in the base game, plus an additional 17 added in DLC. The knowledge rework and addition of secondary skills are easily 2 of the best things the developers did for the sequel. However, actually getting the skills you want is still very random, which can be incredibly frustrating to get, because getting the right skills can completely make or break your hero, and it's very annoying. I think they should have introduced more flexibility here. They could have at least let the player choose from 3 skills instead of 2, at least. Or maybe given us the possibility to forget or change at least 1 skill for gold in town, or by visiting a special structure made for this on the world map. So overall, I kinda a little bit disliking that they adding the game way more randomness. Because in first Heroes, the biggest problem was getting right spells that can basically you win or lose an entire game easily. Now getting or not getting certain skills also can completely make you win or lose the game. Very random, and I'm not really favoring this. I want more flexibility, more certain things, not such randomness. From heroes to castles, let's talk about the changes to town building. In Heroes 1 there was 6 creatures dwellings and 5 other structures. In Heroes 2 all of those original 11 buildings returned, but they're added 8 brand new ones. You can now upgrade your castle defenses by building 2 extra towers, that called turrets, and a mod. There is also a statue which increases your daily gold income by 250. Originally town gives you 1000, so it's 25% gonna be more on average. And a building that boosts a grow rate of tier 1 units. Then there's the captain quarters, which gives you a weak defending hero with 1-2 stats who can use magic to help defend the castle. Each faction also gets 1 unique building. Most of those just provide defense boosts for your siege, but the wizards faction gets the library, which adds extra spells to their magic guild. However, the last new building is the most important one, the marketplace. The market finally gives you the ability to trade one resources for another, something that was desperately lacking in Heroes 1. Having hundreds of other resources but no way to do anything without them while lacking the most important one for you. Though the exchange rates are incredibly harsh, but it's absolutely worth it when you are stuck and can find a specific resource you need. So I'm all for it. There also added some great quality of life improvements, like quick scroll button to easily cycle through your castles, left or right, and visual indicator showing whether a town has already built a structure on the turn, which also helps a lot when your turns are quite long. To my surprise, in negative way, every single returning creature from the 4 main faction, like Barbarian, Knight, Wizard or Sorceress, has the exact same stats as they did in Heroes 1. I kinda was very unhappy with this one because in Heroes 1 the balance was not that good and I was hoping to get at least some creatures changes or some rebalance or whatnot. Seeing 0 balance changes is a bit wild to me overall. I think they really should have rebalanced them a bit at least to change some creatures, I don't know, add something new rebalance because Heroes 1 was far from being not balanced. On the bright side, we have the biggest addition to the army mechanics, creature upgrades. The units chosen for upgrades feels a bit random though. I don't know how they choose that because some creatures that should have upgrades doesn't, the other one have. How that was chosen, I don't know, I'm a little bit confused here. So the Knight faction gets 5 upgradable units, Barbarian gets 3, Warlock gets 2, for example. And for some reason, Dragons can be upgraded twice. Not a single tier 1 unit has any upgrades. So for me it's kind of very strange. Like unit tier 3, tier 5, tier 6, tier 4, tier 6, tier 2, tier 4, tier 5, so it's not even consistent anyhow whatsoever. There are now total of 6 factions. The 2 brand new additions are the Necromancers, whose creatures all count as undead, which make them immune to bless, curse and mind affecting spells, while staying a neutral moral. And my personal favorite faction, the Wizards, whose feature the insanely powerful Titans, and 2 other range units and 1 flying unit. There are also 5 new neutral units joining the 4 returning one. And that's pretty much it. Castles and factions received a ton of work and decent amount of improvements, but it's still a little bit disappointing to me they didn't rebalance. Already second time saying this, but I'm completely disappointed here that they didn't rebalance the 4 original factions or even replace some units or add a new one, something about this, but no work here, kinda disappointing. But well, I'm gonna talk about a little bit of problems about this. So there is not much to say about AI bots. I'm pretty sure it's completely same as it was in the first game. I don't have like concrete proof, but it's just how it feels by playing. AI movement on a world map feels quite same, and combat behavior is pretty much unchanged, I feel like. So unfortunately they didn't improve AI anyhow significantly, if they improve it or change it anyhow, which is quite really sad. Out of everything I was hoping to see improved in AI, nothing actually happened there. AI will still just ignore you on the world map. In combat they prioritize attacking your units based on set value. Because of this target priority, the most powerful unit and faction in the game are now basically the Titans and Wizard, because the AI always prioritize targeting Titans. And with high defense skill and extremely high health, upgraded version of Titans are also the only tier 6 units having a range attack. Also getting 3 of them each week make them practically unkillable in early stage and even mid-game. In late game it's gonna be a little bit harder, but still it's quite very hard for AI to deal with them. So this is basically breaking AI logic. Anything whatsoever gonna always target Titans, and knowing this, you're gonna have enormous amount of halflings and wizards they will constantly attack and kill pretty much everything, while Titans can be extremely tanky. So now I'm going to talk here about some other stuff that didn't really fit in other segments, so a little bit all over the place, but want to quickly talk about this. And a little bit about scenario play. Now we finally can choose what faction we want to play and on what position. In Heroes 1 we got random nations on random positions on the map. Also we always have 4 players and always 4 nations are different, so no 2 same faction in one game. And for few new things, scenario have now additional win goals and lose conditions. In Heroes 1 there was only defeat all enemies or lose. Different map sizes and different number of players. One more difficulty, impossible, and difficulty now merge with AI power and number of resources you get at the start. Again, the tutorial is still kinda non-existent in the game, they do not really teach you anything, it's already in manual again, but should have been at least some tutorial in game. Music is again quite good. As I learned, Paul Romero was creating music for Heroes 1 and Heroes 2. They was randomly meet with developers of Heroes 1. At that moment, they hired him to create music for Heroes 1, and he has, from his words, had only a week to create quite number of music in the game. But again, he's returning for Heroes 2, and music quite amazing. I still love it. This is still one of the most professional things that's I think I kinda lacking in many new games. Many new games, and especially indie games, music can be decent, sometimes good, but to say it's very high, very professional level, it feels, maybe I feel like it's kinda rarity. But listen to this soundtrack from Heroes 2 and get your own opinion. I want to talk about manual, and manual in Heroes 2 are much better. For example, in Heroes 1, manual was far from being perfect. It has still decent amount of information, but is also lacking a lot of information. In Heroes 2, it has much more information, and I love this manual way more. It has information about types of heroes that you basically has, movement on all terrains, which by the way was not in Heroes 1. Skills, all skills written. Probability of getting attack, defense, power and knowledge, which also was not in Heroes 1 manual. There's so many things that was added in manual that's amazing, truly amazing. And I'm pretty sure that almost everything that you need to know about Heroes really was written in manual. Attack and defense skill, how it works, all other stuff, what's new. So I love this manual way more. It's made truly amazing compared to Heroes 1, and overall it's getting so much information that I learn more than in any other even game site overall. So there's still some information that is lacking in manual, but overall it's finally now amazing manual. Not to complain about anything here, really. So, when I was talking about how redesigned was the game overall, like from Heroes 1 to Heroes 2 structures, I understood when I was rewatching again and again all this stuff that actually it's not redesigned that heavily. It was just partly redesigned. If we think, for example, mines have the gold, it's called trolley, I think, or whatnot, and we see this is completely same. One in one basically. Like you see, they are completely same. So this was not completely redesigned. By the way, you can see this all, of course, in all other stuff. They are all completely same. And next thing, Utopia, if I'm not mistaken. Like you see, this is completely same. Utopia, only if we are gonna take the main structure, it's completely same. So they are added those additional structures to make it more bigger or whatnot, and it's quite way larger left and right overall. So this is interesting that I didn't even see that. And when I was going through my videos all over again and again, I was seeing more and more stuff. Again, if we are going same for Mercury structure, this is completely same structure. As you see, this one, the core one, are same. It's completely same. If you say looking at the right side, as you can see, this is completely same. This is very fun for me. I never through the game kinda see this. Only when I'm going through the video, trying to edit it and whatnot. So this is all past everything that I created the video. I'm quite very impressed that there's reused so many times everything. And it's not really that watchable. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that's, for example, if you're talking about this, they are completely different. There's nothing same about them. Yes, and many other structure, if you're gonna talk about this completely different one, but maybe not even. You know what? The propellers are pretty much completely same. It's different color. I didn't even see that. I just see this right now. This is completely, like you see, different color. It's just different color. What I gonna also see this door are same door. So this is not completely. I was thinking this is completely different, but no, they are not completely different. They are kind of same. So yeah, that's interesting. Maybe you're gonna say this one is different, but like you're gonna see this is have a lot of same features. For example, the stream completely same. You can see this by particles, those white particles. This water that's going down through the wheel. It's 1 pixel in pixel same. It has a little bit different color, like you see the wheel. This is same wheel. Structure on this side, it's same. We just have a new wooden shack or second floor here, yeah, but the roof is same. A wall are quite same, but it's now they took away those entrance and there is just some other stuff and a small fence. But still, this is kind of 90% same sprite. And of course, if we are talking about this lighthouse, it's completely different. What we gonna talk about? A sawmill, yeah, completely different, nothing to say. Or is it? Because when I was going through this, I was thinking this is completely different. There is nothing even close to be same. But you see this structure, and it's here. It's completely 1 same structure was put in the back of sawmill, like the entire structure, but it's like you see 1 same. Like you see those logs saw with wood on some small structure, and basically the entire building. Like you see, it's completely same. It's resolution. It's lower resolution, so it feels different, but it's 1 structure, just rescaled. So, for example, if we will take it, like you see, if we just resize it, it's pretty much same, even though it's still quite high. Resolution feels like quality than original one, but it's pretty much same. So I could go probably on and go through way more stuff, but this is pretty much showing you that it's redesigned very smart, because I never seen all these similarities when I was playing. But overall, there is quite a lot of similarities. And I still think there is nothing bad to reuse old assets. It's pretty fine. Ultimate artifacts was taken from campaign, which I a little bit sad, because in Heroes 1 ultimate artifacts you can find, because there was obelisks and some even missions was to find ultimate artifacts. But it was all taken away. You can now restock units, which is quite good. In Heroes 1 you couldn't restock units, and now you can, so this is a positive thing. It gives you more flexibility in combat. Also, we have Might and Magic 6 promo. I think this is kind of fun thing that, like, back in the day there was many times when developers was promoting their other works inside the game. So giving like promos and whatnot about other games. I think this is quite interesting thing to see this, because it's pretty much non-existent with social media, news inside the game, I mean, YouTube videos and whatnot. In 90s there was not a thing, except was only a magazines through what you can learn or from your like friends, and that's it. And back in the day that was one of the things. It's quite interesting and fun to remember this, because well, I was living in that era. But one of the pieces that's kinda gone Heroes 2 is actually the first game in the series to start getting DLCs. New World Computing decided they wanted an expansion, but they wanted to concentrate their own efforts on developing Might and Magic 6 and Heroes of Might and Magic 3. They outsourced the development of this expansion to Cyberlore Studios. It was released about half a year later in 1997, and the DLC was called The Price of Loyalty. The Price of Loyalty is a proper expansion that combines new campaigns, new standard maps, and a number of new map locations and artifacts. They added 4 new short and long campaigns, featuring over 10 new campaign exclusive heroes. The Necromancer Castle got a brand new building. Where the other factions have a tavern, the Necromancer now gets the Evil Shrine. Each shrine a player controls increase the percentage of skeletons raised by necromancy skill by 10%, up to maximum of 60%. Another great feature is that you can now find individual specific spells of any level on Artifact Scroll, allowing your hero to use them without any restrictions. They also added 17 new artifacts. Incredibly, one of them is splitted in 3 separate parts that you can combine to make it even more powerful. And this is actually the first combination artifact in Heroes history. Furthermore, there are over a dozen new locations on the adventure map. This includes recruitment sites for elementals and ghosts, the latter being the most unbalanced unit in the entire game, which is now finally obtainable. However, one of the most ridiculous things in the DLC is a new gate system or board guard. If you want to pass through those gates, you have to find a secret password, intent, and literally type it into the text box. I have no idea why they designed this way. To make it worse, the words seems to be randomly generated every time, so you can't even reuse a password from previous runs or have any hints about this. You literally have to memorize the password or write it down on a piece of paper. Otherwise, you are not getting through. And it's obviously quite ridiculous that they wasn't just automated. Because, for example, bots remembering those passwords and can insert them and go through those gates by themselves. This is basically already in-game, but they made it like this. So, going through pretty much every segment of the game that I planning to talk about, I gonna go to problems. I will talk a little bit about problems here and there and how I think they should be fixed, just briefly, but majorly I'm gonna go through them in this section in the free format basically. So I'm gonna start. First thing is campaign is really not that great. It's basically half of the missions goes that you need to defeat all enemies. This is quite very long and a little bit annoying, especially when you already pretty much win the game, but you still need to go through the getting all the heroes that's running through the map. They can capture even your castles, and you still need to go and fight them, take them out. This is a little bit annoying, and I think the campaign should be most of the missions should be not defeat all enemies, maybe find some artifacts, defeat specific hero, maybe get from one destination to another, or defeat some neutral enemy units. Basically something way more simpler that you don't need to spend hours to playing every single mission, because half in the mission is becoming very boring to doing the same stuff over and over. This needs to be diversity here, and especially this needs to be done for a player, because for me after a few missions like that it's becoming boring. In scenario play this is completely fine, but as a campaign should be a better experience for a player, as a story, as something more sensible and maybe easier to digest, if I can say it like this. Also continue with another thing is Heroes 2 campaign is much harder than Heroes 1 campaign. And I kinda hate it a lot, because Heroes 1 campaign was pretty easy, not gonna lie about this. Even winning the late game wasn't that super much difficult for me. Scenario play with enemy AI on the highest difficulty was very hard. It's true, but campaign itself wasn't that hard. In Heroes 2 it's way harder. It's it feels like unbeatable. Of course they are beatable, but going through like 3-4 hours on one mission, failing, maybe restarting, going back a few hours back, save scamming, saving, fight, going back, try to fight better and whatnot. This requires way more perfect strategy, perfect play, and I hate it so much because it's more stressful than enjoyable. And even the last mission was, for me, pretty much unbeatable. I didn't finish the last mission. It was extremely hard. I could potentially finish it, but again, I need to go back like 2 missions back where there was a additional scenario that could give you more units. So I need to get back 2 missions back, finish those missions, and again start from zero the last mission. This is so much time consuming that I just give up on that. So I don't know why they make from way easy campaign to extremely hard. Probably majority of people never gonna even finish this. Right now I even can like read some forums, some strategies, maybe watch how people played it on YouTube or whatnot. But in like 1999, I would love to see the person who finished this just by his own strategy, because I cannot really see that being beaten, even though I have huge experience playing strategy games and I'm decently smart playing strategy games and efficient, but Heroes 2 was like unimaginable difficulty. Just it needs to be nerfed on next Heroes, because this is just extremely painful to play, not enjoyable, and very frustrating for me was compared to Heroes 1. And by the way, that I also learned that good side has higher difficulty overall compared to evil side. I don't know why this is a thing whatsoever, because it was like in Resident Evil 1. When you get an opinion to play Chris or Jill, I was picking Chris and didn't know that it's gonna be way harder than playing Jill. And on first playthrough this was extremely painful. Same thing here, why they didn't say like one difficulty is easier than the other one, and pretty much this is say everyone that I've seen on like forums, videos. This is not just my opinion. This should be kinda have a description on this. And getting to the world maps now, for example, I one time lost the game because AI got units, neutral units from the start. 72? Excuse me, what? 72? Very close to me, they just gone, they joined them and they just basically destroyed me because they are like get 40, 30, 50, I don't remember how many archers on week 1. This is completely unbeatable, like you cannot win this. So I lost this and I start from beginning to learn. Next time they didn't join them, so for me it was much now winnable. And this is the problem, because I think from the first week and maybe even first 2 weeks, there shouldn't be any neutral units joining anyone, any forces, especially AI forces, because in some cases it's basically maybe can be say like soft lock or complete loss. You cannot do anything, this is just random. And randomness in this game is kinda ass. There's gonna be other points about randomness, and strategy games shouldn't be this random, because some small things just can completely make your game lost or win from a little bit of randomness here and there. This is kinda very bad. The next thing is of course that if the enemy hero is a little bit faster or same speed, you never can catch them up. I think this is an extremely huge problem in the game, because again, having several heroes in the different part of the game is mandatory basically at this point. One, the main strong hero, second, also kind of strong hero that can defend your castles when you're going and capturing enemy castles. But still, if the enemy is a little bit faster than you and the map is kinda open map, this becoming absolutely and utterly miserable experience, because you can never catch enemy hero, and this is frustrating. You don't know what you need to even do to catch them. And this was a problem from Heroes 1, this is problem in Heroes 2, and I kinda feel like it's gonna be a problem for many other heroes coming in the future. But my original biggest idea how to fix this is, for example, if any hero running, they are creating trail of footsteps or whatever you can call it. That's enemy heroes. When gonna go by your trails, they're gonna travel faster or lose less hero movement points, stamina hero, like 10 or 20%. And it's gonna last it, for example, for 2 turns. This would be completely reasonable, and you finally gonna catch them, maybe not in 1 turn, maybe not even in 2 turns, but you gradually can catch to the enemy heroes. And this will really fix the problem globally. Of course, you cannot chase them forever, for example, but if you can chase them forever, you should be rewarded by defeating enemy hero. Because right now, this is also frustrating and painful to play and constantly running over and over when you cannot catch them. There should be mechanic like this. I really hope that's, or something like this. It doesn't need to be exactly like this, but something that give you a possibility to capture to enemy heroes a little bit easier. I think maybe this is a good solution. We'll see how it will be in the next heroes. Going to the magic, and magic has enormous amount of problems. I already was talking about that magic kinda better become, but it's still far from being better. First and foremost, I extremely and utterly hate my emotions going when enemy heroes, before they are defeated, they start throwing damaging spells, Storm, Armageddon, other spells, and damaging my hero. And this is extremely painful. I hope there is not ever gonna be a skill like this. This is just ridiculous. No, why? Why again? Oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, please don't do this. No! I hate this game! Losing over and over every single time before hero is defeated. And I think at least 2 things you should do, like, first and foremost, nerf magic. Like this global damaging magic, like Storm, Armageddon, or even delete them from the game. This is utterly disgusting. Either delete them completely, or nerf them way harder, or at least, because one of the problems that sometimes enemy heroes are doing them, like Storm, Armageddon, or throwing some spells, and escaping from the fight. So basically, you're getting your units halved, and enemy hero also just runs away. You're not getting a single artifact. You're not defeating the hero. They just can, if they run away, they can just instantly rehire on the next turn their hero. So this is extremely, extremely awful. You either, for example, you cannot escape or run away if you use magic for past like 1 or like at least 2 turns, for example. Past 2 turns you cannot escape. So people who throw Armageddon and escape, you either need to lose your character completely, or I need to get and I need to get artifacts there, or something else, because it's irritating and it's just make me mad. And I'm pretty sure everyone else. This should be kinda fixed somehow. At least a little bit benefit to the player. And also I think that's using infinite number of same spell every single next round of battle is completely ass. There should be cooldown to at least some number of spells. For example, you cannot use Armageddon once, then second time next turn, maybe third time is if anything of your units is still alive, or enemy units. There should be cooldown, maybe even make like 1 Armageddon per battle, 1 Storm per battle only. So it needs to be some restrictions, because sometimes it's just getting completely out of hand. That hero can use like blindness every single round and you cannot do anything about this, especially if they have a lot of mana. And this is completely and utterly ridiculous. This also should not be a thing in the game. It needs to be something rebalanced. And again, damage spells, any and all damage spells are extremely unbalanced. They are extremely overpowered. They need to be nerfed, heavily nerfed. because an early game is basically all about who has better spells and their power. Like one legendary person said, Heroes of Might Magic 2 is the game about magic and a little bit of might. This is true in early game, in the mid game, and maybe early late game. Spells are extremely overpowered. If you have a better spells than your enemy, even if you're gonna be from losing position, you still can win. And magic is, especially damaging magic, needs to be very heavily rebalanced. Also, we are talking about dimensional door spell. You cannot teleport half of the entire map in one turn. This is ridiculous. It needs to be nerfed to that you cannot use it more than once per turn. That would be pretty much reasonable. But when you can do this like 3-4 times and jump half of the map, this is completely and utterly ridiculous. Especially, there sometimes was the thing that enemy hero just... No, for example, attacking enemy hero, they are instantly running away. Next turn they are buying their hero from the other side of the map. They start jumping through the entire map section and instantly getting my castle or my hero. This is completely and utterly ridiculous. This should be never a thing. I don't understand how this was balancing this. There was no balancing whatsoever about magic. Zero. And this is infuriating also. And also this is getting about the problem instantly rehiring heroes on the same turn when you lose them. This is ridiculous again. Again, what I'm saying, the same turn enemy just run away, rehire their hero from the different castle and just run in other direction. I mean, this should not be a thing. This is not even it needs to be penalty that you cannot hire your hero back. At least maybe 3-5 days at least. I would say even a week should be, because like I said, this is completely ridiculous. This is not even, there is no thoughts about this. This is basically mandatory thing that should be how this should be balanced in the game. And also getting to strategies playing the game. The game favors only rush strategy, campaign, scenario plays, Heroes 1, Heroes 2, Heroes 3. Every single heroes basically goes that you need to rush to your enemies as fast as possible. Especially this thing is in campaign, because sometimes the enemies start with 3 castles and you need to win as fast as possible, because if they're gonna build all 3 castles, late game gonna be unbeatable. And in many cases, late game almost always are unwinnable. Straight up unwinnable. So you need rush as fast as possible, getting basic number of units that you can win the fight to capture the enemy castles. Get your units from next week or 2 weeks to your hero and rush next castle and rush and rush and rush. I kinda hate this a little bit, because rushing strategy is maybe kinda fun on paper, because you need to have a little bit knowledge in the game to effectively rushing early game, yes. And this can be satisfying when you rush, fast win, and you feel like you are good, you know you are good. But this shouldn't be a thing. Mid game should be playable, late game should be playable. It's not playable. Late game absolutely not playable. Mid game, early game, yes, it's playable. Late game, no. So rush strategy is the best strategy in the game, and I kinda hate it. The game should be rebalanced in a way that you still can win even being in disadvantage late in the game. It's hard for me to say what needs to be rebalanced, because this is a huge topic, but it needs to be something done in the game about this. If you're in late game, you know either you or your enemy win. That's it. And it's also kinda a little bit, like I said previously, time wasting. So you know either you have no choices there is no choices for you to win, because enemy hero is extremely much more powerful, or you know that you gonna win 100% basically, and you are just wasting your time fighting all small heroes, mid heroes, and best heroes of enemies. So I kinda hate this, and I kinda hope the game would be rebalanced better for mid-late game. And also about balancing the entire game, safe load scam strategy, I think this is kinda bad, not enjoyable. And by what I mean safe load scamming is basically when you're saving and loading the game all the time. So you're going into the game, playing, then saving, going into the fight, you lose the fight, or maybe you win the fight but you lose like several units that you didn't want to lose. You're loading back before the fight and fighting again, and next time you fight, you have a better outcome. So you are saving this and going next. Maybe you're going a little bit far into the fog of war to learn a little bit of territory, and then enemy hero is attacking you. And you basically know that you're overpowered, you're losing. So you're loading your save before you was going in that direction, and you understand there is enemy hero, I gonna completely lose, I need to run back. And I think this one of the reasons this game kinda sucks, because save scamming is not very fun to do. You constantly basically try to get the best outcome, and in many cases this is again time consuming. One fight you lose like a titan or two, and you're thinking like, I need to replay it, not to lose two titans, lose one titan, because I need them maybe in the next fights. When you may be capturing enemy castle, but enemy going and capturing your castle, and you're thinking, yeah, maybe I should have teleport to my castle and defend it. And over again, those things, I kinda think that the game should be playable at the not safe load scam state. It needs to be playable, winnable in normal conditions. That you starting the game, you have one save file that getting autosaved every day of the game, after every fight and whatnot. So other way around, yeah, it's kinda not the most pleasurable thing to just win, lose, safe load. Game needs to be rebalanced around not safe load scamming. Because for example, there are games like Paradox games. It's also strategy games that you constantly love to save scam. To always try to win in a fight, where to go, what to capture, make a decision how to end the war and whatnot. Like I'm making my experience from Imperator Rome. And I always was playing this game in safe scam manner, and I kinda was not fan of the game but when I started playing the game without save scamming, on Iron Mod it's called if I'm not mistaken, enjoyment of playing the game was 10 times better, because yeah, you win some wars, you lose some wars, you make better decisions, you make bad decisions, some outcomes not in your favor and whatnot. If I was safe loading constantly, I would do always 100% the best decision every single time. But playing in Iron Mod without safe scamming, it was 10 times better experience, and game is balanced around that you can basically play the entire game without safe scamming. Yeah, sometimes maybe you're gonna lose your long runs, but majority of the time you can wiggle your room with something lose, something win. In Heroes 2, 1 and future Heroes kinda, if you lose your main hero, like 90%, like probably 95% chance that you're gonna lose your game, because there is not gonna be, you're not gonna recover from that whatsoever. So you need to play the game perfectly. Again, in Imperator Rome, you can lose your army, part of your territory, and still come back from this. In Heroes, it's close to impossible. I, by the way, played some missions when I was playing Evil Campaign. I was playing those campaign without safe loading pretty much whatsoever, because first missions was kinda easy, its later missions are harder, and Evil Campaign kinda easier. So for me it was not a problem not saving whatsoever, or using just autosave load system that from your previous day. Yeah, you can overall play the heroes without save scamming, but it's extremely hard. You're gonna many times replaying the entire missions, which gonna took you hours and hours back and back to this. The game needs to rebalance for all this, and I'm hoping that the game gonna be in future rebalanced somehow. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about one of my thoughts that I had about castles. I really want that castle to have basic defenses. Like for example, 1 or 2 weeks of creatures always defend your castle, or they are adding to your castle side when they are defending. Because splitting your units, it's one of the worst things that you can do in the game, especially when it's very hard battle. So this is cycle of you capturing enemy castles, they are capturing your castles. And it's kinda irritating and boring becoming. So the thing that you can defend at least your castle with 1 or 2 weeks creatures I think it's gonna fix the problem, and that's gonna be a good solution for not always getting your castle gonna be prioritized by enemies. So that would be at least a good defense addition to the players and planning for a better strategy. So a little bit of my thoughts about last mission of campaign that I had when I was playing. I look at several playthroughs, walkthroughs, how people completing this map, because I have no idea. And basically, one and only thing what make them win, it's having very good starting army. This is the only thing. All the playthroughs I've seen and all the forums I read, all people say you need to have a really strong starting army after completing mission 7. Basically, this is the only way how you can win this. And all other people who say they have like 2, 3, 4 dragons at the start, they can't win. I start with, like, if I'm not mistaken, 2 dragons, and this is quite close to unwinnable. I think it's still, at this point, it's not probably possible, but because there's some people say that they have like 4 or 5 dragons at the start, and they play 5 times from the start, and they couldn't win a single time. So after all this, I want also to add that would take very long time, like again several more hours to going back 2 missions back and playing from that extent to get better outcome, to get better units in the last mission. Getting back 2 missions back and not possibility to win this is very bad planning. And also I would add about DLC last mission. I was talking about DLC, I will say that I'm gonna talk a little bit about why last DLC mission is bad. The last DLC mission is bugged because the island on which the strongest army in an entire mission are located that you need to defeat and win the game, they are located on this island, but the problem if they getting in their town's dimensional portal from Mage Guild, they can teleport from their island to the other island, and from that point they can go to me and destroy me. That was like happened in my playthrough. So I need to play again and again, trying not for them not to get dimensional portal. If they get dimensional portal, this is the end. There's pretty much nothing you can do whatsoever. And this is bug. They didn't test this much, and this is very bad. And I definitely didn't want to play again and again. And overall, my thoughts about DLC, this is decent DLC. I wouldn't say it's something very special, but campaigns good, but the one that I played was bugged. New structures, very good, but that's kinda it. And new artifacts is quite good, but that's kinda it. There is not much content. If it at least get at least one new faction, I would say this would be very good. But other way around, I wouldn't say this is not that much necessary to play it overall. For example, one of the things that upgrading units cost double their original price, I think, which is quite insane. For example, upgrading Titans is cost more than buying those Titans fresh, upgraded versions. You don't need to play double, you just need to pay how much they originally cost minus how much the upgraded version cost. And this is gonna be the upgrade. Maybe, like, we can say 10-20%, maybe higher, but that would be more than enough. Double the price is absolute insanity. You also don't see the unit number under the wall, which I think it's kinda strange why they didn't fix it. I'm pretty sure it was in Heroes 1 this problem. Why they didn't fix this in Heroes 2, it's baffling, because you just render it above all other sprites in the game, textures in the game, and that's it. It shouldn't be really a problem, I would say. And last topic that I want to talk about as a problems in the game is game is very random. And I think this is, of course, pretty much many games. I think it's strategy games, it's kinda a little bit worse, because you are building your strategies, how to win, how to play, and randomness in the game can completely make or break your entire playthrough. And this is kinda irritating sometimes when you're getting good results, like moral with additional turn, luck with double damage, your unit hitting on their maximum damage. This is all, of course, very pleasurable to get this, but at the same time, when you're getting the opposite, this is extremely irritating and annoying. So I would definitely kinda make the game way more pseudo-random, at least. Because randomness, you can like get luck double damage every turn, moral double moral, which give you 2 turns, which, let's be honest, can completely change the outcome of a battle. Also getting the right spells. I really hate that spells are so random. Getting the right spells is pretty much the most important part of the game right now in Heroes 2. If you get bad spells, you're kinda... and your enemy get a good spells, well, you're fucked. So I was hoping that at least they redesign Mage Guild that you can buy or learn your own spells. So for example, each spell costs like 2000 gold or 3000, or doesn't matter overall, but some set number, maybe depending on the level, like level 1 1000 gold, level 5 5000 gold, I don't know, something like this. So you can learn any spell, not all the spells in the game. For example, you can learn up to 10 spells in the game, but you can learn any spells in the game, depending on your Mage Guild level. And this will make the game non-random, at least at magic. That is one of the most important things in the game. It's way more important than luck, moral, or any other random parameter in the game. Magic is extremely important to have the right spells. It's first thing. Second, luck and moral, this is good, but at the same time enemies also getting moral up and luck up, which I think this is kinda bad. I think maybe you should just, if you have higher moral, maybe you get higher defense. If you have higher luck, you have higher damage on fixed level, not random. Also less random damage numbers, like 1 to 3. This is like 3 times the difference in damage that unit can deal. This is insane. Even 1 to 2 is insane, but it's kinda understandable which tier 1 units gonna have. They are not extremely powerful, but higher level units is way more drastic. So it also should be somehow rebalanced. Less randomness in the game will make the game way more predictable, way more strategy wise, way more like a mind game, not a random game. So I'm hoping some improvements in all these parts of the game. This is at least with Magic, this is extremely mandatory. I extremely hope this is gonna have improvements and changes. And this is overall all my thoughts. It was a little bit long because it was in free format, but you always can say your thoughts in the comments and I would read them and whatnot. And and I'm gonna go to other last segments of the entire video. When it comes to multiplayer, not much has changed. It's pretty much the exactly same experience. However, it does give you more ways to connect now because Heroes 2 has a Windows version, whereas Heroes 1 was strictly DOS only. This means you can easily connect using any LAN emulation. And again, I didn't personally test this out because I didn't have anyone to test it with, but players on the forums say it works perfectly fine, so it should be good. Additionally, multiplayer games now features a handicap option, allowing a player to choose a 15 or 30% reduction in starting resources to balance out matches. And overall, that's about it for multiplayer. The map editor, on the other hand, has become much better. In GOG version now you don't even have to launch it through a separate executable file or separate option in GOG like it was in Heroes 1. You can access it directly from the game itself, or still you can use exe file in Windows version, but you need to set compatibility mod on Windows 95 to it work. The editor brings a ton of massive improvements. Aside from standard additions and vastly improved UI, we got dedicated tools for laying down roads and streams, as well as a brush tool for painting terrain, new visual settings, and the biggest change is that the majority of map objects can now overlap with one another. This allows you to create much more complex, dense and interesting environments. Lastly, you can now script custom rumors and events restrict factions to just human players or bots, and even set unique win and lose conditions. While it might not seem like it's massive deal at first glance, those features drastically improve map creation and gives the community creative huge boost. Now for our last but very important topic, mods. When it comes to Heroes 2, there is only one mod that is worth talking about, and that is F Heroes 2, also known as Free Heroes of Might Magic 2 Resurrection. First, let's briefly look at the installation and compatibility. This incredible project allows the game to be played almost on anything: Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, even Nintendo Switch, and for some unknown reasons, even PS Vita, which is the most shocking one. You can download all the necessary files directly from GitHub, where you will also find detailed instruction for every single platform. And now I'm gonna go through the most important features, because this mod changed an enormous amount of things and improve, so I'm gonna go only some number of the most important one. I would say first and foremost it's higher resolution and also higher frame rate. Probably one of the most important things that I wanted is auto battles. You can use auto battles. They are instantly ending your battle, not giving you like several minutes of wasting on every single unimportant fight. Still you can go and fight yourself if you do not like the outcome, which is extremely helpful. So this is, I think, just by this one feature is mandatory to use this, because you're gonna save a lot of time. You also can do this in the middle of the battle. If you already knew that you're gonna win without any problems, you can also auto finish it. Spell duration on creatures, also spell description, attack spell damage pop-up window, which very helpful. Attack damage pop-up window, how many creatures you potentially can kill and do damage, which is extremely good that you don't need to calculate yourself, which I was doing myself in many battles. This is extremely helpful. One of the things that I always was talking about from Heroes 1, recruit troops from well. And by the way, it's not said, but when you're clicking to buy somebody, it instantly give you a maximum number. So you don't need to like click all units, blah blah blah. Basically clicking already max units, buy and go, and all from the well, which I wanted so much to be this in the game, to speed up the game. Buying non-upgraded creatures, sometimes it can be helpful. Extra information on visited structures on world map, which I was talking about. This is gonna be extremely helpful. It's needed more information. Showing which hut and shrines, what spells and skills they giving you. Again, one of the mandatory things that I wanted to be added. Battle order. Move army just with one button, quickly moving the entire army between characters, because on original game this arrows doesn't do anything whatsoever. Now you just can click them and switch instantly. Extra information about damage in spellbook that you don't need to count yourself, it's also very handy. You can even choose different difficulty for campaign, which is also quite good. Also, I like how they change alignment of numbers and status of all the creatures, which on original one it was kinda a mess, and now you can see it way more clearly in this version. So I like this also a lot. Battle mode, that's also you can just add any fast create any hero and have a fight if you want to test something. Skills of creatures if you don't know them yet. Improved how it shows two hex creatures moves and also attack, which is also two good things. And there is many things that was added, and also the things that I was seeing that's not written in these docs. But I would just say this mod, it shows how the Heroes 2 should have been done, because every single thing that is done in this mod is single-handedly improvement to the base game. There is dozens, maybe even 100+ improvements to the base game, and this is truly amazing, because a lot of things that they was done here, I was hoping that it's gonna be done in original game that I was talking about, and many things that I didn't even talk in the video, because it's gonna be probably one more hour if I gonna go to talk about absolutely everything. But this mod is literally perfect version of Heroes 2, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about installation. You can choose to install it using their auto installer, or you can do it manually by extracting the zip archive. The instructions are incredibly straightforward, but still I'm going to guide you through how I install it myself, and maybe it's gonna be helpful for you if you want to do this also. So you're gonna go to the F-Heroes to GitHub first and foremost, and there's two choices: going through releases and downloading one of the versions here. Maybe it's a little bit complicated, so we can scroll down, go to download and install, installation guide, and we have all the versions explained here. You can just click Windows zip archive, clicking on Windows 64-bit. Also, you can additional DLLs to download if you need it and have problems. So we are putting archive anywhere that is suitable for you, then extracting it, opening it in. We need to throw few files here. And there is two ways how to do this again. If you have GOG or maybe Ubisoft or any other version of the Heroes, it depends if you have DOSBox or Windows version. Right click on Heroes 2, manage installation, show folder, and we are getting Heroes 2 folder from GOG here. You need to copy data maps and music. You even can do this from the DOS version, but you're not gonna have any cutscenes in the game. For cutscenes, all the cutscenes and story campaign to work, you need to go through different things. So open Heroes 2, go to Extra, Home to Gold optional, Windows version. Click, you're gonna download this, go back to folder where is Heroes 2 is installed, go downloads, and you're gonna have setup. Just go through the setup, it's as simple as it possibly can be. Then you have Windows version, and you have two choices. You either can go and just click extract home resources, and it should extract everything from where your Heroes 2 is installed. Or you can do this manually now, copy data maps and music. Then you're gonna go back to Windows version, open Heroes 2 folder, and this is anim folder that you're gonna copy to your mod folder. And now you simply can start playing. Like you see, also campaign works. And if you, for example, even do not have a game whatsoever, you can use download demo, and you basically have demo version of the game also for free. So campaign not gonna work, only missions that also you need to download from somewhere yourself. Like you see, still game works, but a bit scuff. So yeah, this is how you can install Heroes 2 mod, quick guide for you. By the way, there are also Heroes 2 mod for Heroes 3. Basically, Heroes 2 campaign was transferred to Heroes 3, but that's very different topic, and I'm gonna talk it about in Heroes 3, I think. But for you to know if you're really interested in it. Also, I almost forgot that there is only one problem with the mod. It doesn't have multiplayer. It's in the plans, and I will write about it in the description or pinned comment when it's going to be released. Now that we have covered all the major changes and issues worth discussing, it's time for the final thoughts. I could of course dive into even more topics, but I try to keep this video relatively short. Otherwise, we'll be looking at 1 and more likely 2 more hours, and the video is already quite long. I really wanted to ensure every topic got detailed, in-depth analysis. When I first put up Heroes 2, I went in completely blind. I have never played, watched videos on it, or known anything about it. Knowing the sequel came out just over a year after the original, I didn't have high expectations for significant changes. Honestly, I was quite surprised by how much the team accomplished in just 12 months. I enjoyed the sequel and found the game superior to Heroes 1 in every single way. However, two major things caused me a lot of suffering: the spike in difficulty and magic system. The campaign difficulty is brutal. You almost always start out defending just 1 or 2 castles against an AI that controls 3 up to 5 castles. If you take your time to build up, you simply stand no chance of winning. You are forced to rush the enemy as early as possible on every single mission. If you make even a few small mistakes here and there, you have to restart the mission or load a much earlier save, which gets pretty daunting. As for magic system, it can still be infuriating for the reasons I mentioned in the magic and problem sections. On the bright side, the standalone scenarios are much better. The AI isn't completely overpowered from the start there, so you can actually relax and enjoy the game how I did on stream. The campaign gameplay can be a bit of slog, even if the story itself is fine. A few of the changes I hoped for in my Heroes 1 review actually made into Heroes 2, like improved castle combat, adjustable combat speed, a magic nerf a bit, and a full-fledged story campaign, and some other stuff. However, most of my complaints weren't fulfilled. Thankfully, the F-Heroes 2 mod steps in and delivers every single quality of life improvements I ever wanted, and even much more. Unless you strictly want a raw vanilla experience, I highly recommend playing with a mod. The core game stays exactly the same, but you get a massive number of bug fixes and modern enhancements. With all that in mind, here are my final scores. This is purely my enjoyment of the game and nothing more than that. I rated Heroes 1 a 5 out of 10 because it was not that enjoyable, not that bad, it's just kinda okay game. And I give Vanilla Heroes 2 a 6 out of 10 because held back majorly by its balance and difficulty issues. Still, the game was quite fine, I kinda enjoyed still more than Heroes 1. If difficulty and balance was better polished, the game would be 8 out of 10. And playing with the F-Heroes 2 mod bumps it up to a 7 out of 10. The quality of life features all is incredible, but still the base game balance remains rough. Looking ahead, Heroes 2 already laid down a nearly perfect conceptual foundation. For Heroes 3, my main hopes are for nerfed magic, a more reasonable campaign difficulty, at least fraction of quality of life features introduced by the mod, better faction balance, and maybe a few new mechanics, features. If it hits those points, it will be a perfect sequel. We'll find out in the future videos. If you want to check out the raw gameplay of the original game or see the mod in action, I left links to both of my full playthrough streams in the description below. I have started streaming my adventure through the Heroes series, and I might stream other game series in the future. If you're interested in hanging out, asking questions about the game development, suggesting other series I should tackle, or just chatting, please feel free to drop by. It's gonna be on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, maybe some other platforms in the future, so just check the links below. I also have a Discord server where I plan to post updates and host community discussions. Just like the first video, this video took about 150 hours of work to make. However, I tried to experiment a bit with this one. I recorded some parts completely unscripted, like problem section and other section, and I kept the editing less intense in some parts. And I'm interested to know what you think of this approach. Do you prefer the structured, fully scripted style, or do you like the more relaxed, unscripted segments? For me, going without a script and tuning down the editing make the video making process a lot faster. But I want to make sure the final content is still great for you. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And finally, to any inspiring game developers watching this, always think about the easiest, smallest adjustments you can make that will improve the player's quality of life the most. Heroes 2 could have been a vastly better game with just a few small, simple improvements. If you have the patience, determination, and willingness to learn, you can get into game development too. You have nothing to lose by trying except time. And time spent building something meaningful is time well spent. Spent.